Hey guys, this is Knight the Storyteller, and I want to talk about Star Wars today. Star Wars, the Clone Wars was my childhood, and to this day, A New Hope is my favorite movie. It's how I got into writing as a passion, and I want to cover some things about it. Um, there's so many interesting ways you could write something, and Plo Koon's going to be the topic for today. Um, And I think the way you could have Plo Koon survive his death is very interesting. It's something that's plausible, while it's definitely something very divisive as people want Order 66 to feel impactful and have killed a lot of Jedi. You have Plo Koon, and Plo Koon's death was like it's something that at the time of the movie, oh yeah, a Jedi being blown up, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We see people die in starfighters all the time in the movies. But the TV show, The Clone Wars, kind of kills that point. You know, the Clone Wars has literally shown Anakin surviving way worse than just a starfighter exploding. And even then, Plo Koon is as strong as Yoda in the Force, or something like that in Legends. So Plo Koon surviving is something that's very possible, though obviously want something a bit fans would want something that's acknowledges Order 66, but also if Plo is going to survive, Plo is going to survive. Uh, very hard. It's a very hard thing to manage, so that's why it's so much fun to me. Um, and for the purpose of the video, I asked that if you're a fan of Order 66 and you want, like, if you want basically every Jedi to be dead, just limit yourself to the points I make in the video. Don't bite my head off for just suggesting a method as to how it could work. Acknowledge the points as they're made in the video, and target those. Don't target me. I'm just pointing out an idea. Um, so to start off, we have to acknowledge how he died in the first place. 19 BBY Plo Koon was shot down by Captain Jag in his ARC 170 heavy starfighter. Shot down the modified Delta 7 of Plo Koon. Um, we see him crash land. We see him crash and explode. Plo is a very strong Jedi. We see Jedi casually holding back explosions all the time, even much bigger ones as well. Um, and Plo has a force ability, or is at least was aware of a force ability, allowed a person to seem dead. So realistically, if Plo was to survive, he'd show up in the Bad Batch or the Ahsoka show, um, as Bad Batch is closest in the timeline to it, and Ahsoka is the most closest character to him. Ahsoka was found by Plo Koon, so it just kind of makes sense for him as a character to show up with her, or to show up in the most the most chronological time, which was Bad Batch. Bad Batch is, I believe, 17, 16 BBY by now. So with a minor skip in time to get into the Bad Batch, they would need to dedicate a few episodes to how Plo survived and that kind of arc. Um, if they would do it in Bad Batch Season 3, they would want to do it in a time where Omega is safe, as if went back. They went, and I'm not trying not to spoil Season 2, because Season 2 is really good. But they would need to do it. They would need to do it at a time where Omega is safe, or they aren't pressed to go find her, or like someone has rescued her, or they know that she is not going to be hurt, so they just need to prepare to go save her. Because the reason for this is you don't want the Plo story to feel like a sidetrack to the main story. You don't want your characters to feel like, oh, they're just doing something random when they should be doing something very obvious. You don't want filler. Going off of how going off of how Bad Batch has done its episodes, it would most likely be something like they meet Plo on his homeworld while investigating Baron Doe, probably for something for Sid, if they're still working for Sid. They did, well, I'm not trying not to spoil season 2. Season 2 is so good. Um, but they would have some reason to go investigate the Baron Doe, and that would be the easiest hiding place for Plo narratively, and it would be a very interesting spot as we have never seen Dorian as a world. Um, the first episode of that the first episode of that arc would probably be them fighting wildlife before meeting the monks or some of the natives, and then as they're approaching their objective, we would get a cliffhanger showing Plo or at least a Keldorian who looks like him. Probably not confirming, oh, it's Plo Koon, but giving the impression of, hey, this could be Plo. Uh, the internet would probably be both pissed and excited because knowing fan bases, that's usually how it is. Um, the second episode would be, confirming, oh yeah, that's Plo Koon, and it would be showing how he survived as he would talk to the Bad Batch and he'd tell them how he avoided the Empire. And my personal story for this would be him using the Force to shield himself from the explosion and healing himself using the Force, then uh, limping his way to limping his way through the story. Uh, Siege Battalion or Wolfpack forces would investigate his crash. Plo would quickly avoid them. If he has to, he would non-lethally take out his own troops and then use the speeder to flee as he is, injured. He shouldn't be able to walk after. Well, he should be able to walk, but he shouldn't be able to move that well after explosion to his face. He should be bleeding, all that kind of stuff. Um, and then after that, you should acknowledge that there's a blockade in orbit. No one's getting off that fucking world without the Republic knowing, and the Republic is not going to let Plo live. So, Plo kills himself. But not quite, suicide. He has you have him puppeteer the wolf pack into a situation where they believe Plo has died. Whether that is they start shooting at him and he drops, uses the force power to trick their scanners into thinking his body is dead, and then they probably take him aboard their ship and he steals one or something like that. Um, that that story is generally something that you could do a lot with. That's just personally how I would do it. Then you would have your third episode be probably the first time you see Inquisitors, as they would massacre the Baron Doe, then to be stopped by Plo, and then Plo would go on the run. Would go on the run, and that's the last time we see him in the Bad Batch that season. Possibly he would show up again in other seasons, but really the end of that arc would just establish that Plo is alive. He has his own alibi as to what he's doing during the course of the events, as that's those are the two things you need to establish when you let a Jedi survive. Where are they, and what are they doing, and why aren't they helping the rebels or joining Luke or whatever? Um, you could do further stories where he does do those things, as those things would be open to him, but overall, the story should be just confirming the story, should be confirming his survival, and then leaving it open for more. And you could also just and have him die to Vader. You could. Um, you'd get bonus points for having Plo's death scar Wolf, especially if you do it in a way where it seems like Wolf has pushed Plo into a situation where he killed him. When Wolf, wakes up from the Order 66, he is going to be fucking terrified, especially as Wolf would know Plo better. um, and I would also advise having Plo be scarred in cybernetic. Have Order 66. Well, I do not believe it should be kept on a pedestal of, oh, every Jedi was killed in this amazing orchestrated move. It should be acknowledged as a very effective move by Palpatine. It did destroy the Order. It just did not destroy everyone in it. I personally like to see Plo take the role of Kukruk in the new Jedi Order, Luke's order. Uh, Kukruk was a Jedi in Legends who survived Order 66 with a group of Padawans, and personally, I think Plo would really fit his role of being an old Jedi to help the New Order not make the same mistakes, while also being just a really good representation of what a Jedi should be. Plo, Plo was fucking amazing in the Clone Wars. I really recommend looking at his character, as his character was really what a Jedi should have been in the Clone Wars. That's he was the perfect representation, in my opinion, of what a Jedi what a Jedi should try to be. Um, but getting back on track, if he doesn't return in Bad Batch, he would probably return in Ahsoka, as that is, as I said before, Ahsoka he found Ahsoka. Ahsoka really looks up to him, um, and he worked alongside Ahsoka a lot during the Clone Wars. Ahsoka is really how we got to know Plo, and it would be really cool. Um, so just like Bad Batch, how I would do it instead of uh, instead of how they would likely do it of Ahsoka already knew he was alive and she's going up to him for some reason. I would rather see it be Ahsoka genuinely shocked at his survival and overwhelmed, have her cry, have her be so damn happy as she knows Anakin's dead. She knows Obi-Wan's dead. Plo surviving would be a awesome thing for her. Like if the Jedi are family to one, if you consider the Jedi being family to one another, this would be like knowing your uncle or your dad or someone like that survived after this great catastrophe. It would be awesome for her, and I would love to see Ahsoka in a point of weakness where she is just happy to see someone alive. Um, Now, you don't have the benefits of animation, so you can't have him do a detailed thing of, oh, this is how I survived, this is how I avoided the Empire, all this stuff. You can't do that. The Bad Batch is better suited for that as it's animated. You would just have more episodes to dedicate to it. It's easier to work with the bodies, all that. It's just much easier to do with that. So you would want to just, since live action, have it be a heartwarming moment and further their current story. You can't worry about setting up the next one or anything like that, just the current moment and be happy we got it. You don't have animation to give you the time to do anything else. I believe Internet's probably going to be pretty pissy with that one, but what can you do? Sometimes you just have to acknowledge that the story you're writing is just going to make some people upset. And yeah, that's just the two ways I'd write about his survival. There's obviously going to be more opportunities as there's more shows and all this stuff. Hell, Plo could get his own show. I wouldn't be against it. Or he could show up in a video game. There's so many ways you could do this. Um, I'm a huge fan of Plo Koon. He's a great mentor. He's a great, powerful character. And his survival is one of those mysteries where he could survive, he could not. It's up to you. It's your opinion. Hell, that's what canon kind of is nowadays. Of just this story is cool. Do you like it? But yeah, that was the video. See you guys.